Cantos 52 to 54 of Book 3 of the Ramayana of Valmiki, translated by Ralph T. Griffith. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Om123. Canto 52. Ravan's Fight. Fair as the Lord of silvery rays, whom every star in heaven obeys, the metal dame her plaint renewed, over him by Ravan's might subdued. Dreams, omens, auguries foreshow our coming Lord of weal and woe, but thou, my Rama, couldst not see the grievous blow which falls on thee. The birds and deer desert the brakes, and show the path my captor takes, and does even now this royal bird flew to mine aid by pity stirred. Slain for my sake in death he lies, the broad-winged rover of the skies. O Rama, haste, thine aid I crave. O Lakshman, why delay to save? Brave sons of old Ikshaku hear, and rescue in this hour of fear. Her flowery reed was torn and rent, crushed was each sparkling ornament. She with weak arms and trembling knees clung like a creeper to the trees, and like some poor deserted thing, with wild shrieks made the forest ring. But swift the giant reached her side, as loud on Rama's name she cried. Fierce as grim death, one hand he laid upon her tresses lovely braid. That touch, thou impious king, shall be the ruin of thy race and thee. The universal world in war that outrage on the lady saw. All nature shook convulsed with dread, and darkness over the land was spread. The Lord of Day grew dark and chill, and every breath of air was still. The eternal Father of the sky beheld the crime with heavenly eye, and spake with solemn voice, the deed is done, of old decreed. Sad were the saints within the grove, but triumph with their sorrow strove. They wept to see the metal dame endure the outrage, scorn, and shame. They joyed because his life should pay the penalty incurred that day. Then Ravan raised her up and bare his captive through the fields of air, calling with accents loud and shrill on Rama and on Lakshman steel. With sparkling gems on arm and breast, in silk of pale amber dressed, high in the air the metal dame gleamed like the lightning's flashing flame. The giant, as the breezes blew upon her robes of amber hue, and round him twined that gay attire, showed like a mountain got with fire. The lady, fairest of the fair, had wreathed a garland round her hair. Its lotus petals, bright and sweet, rained down upon the giant's feet. Her vesture, bright as burning gold, gave to the wind each glittering fold, fair as the gilded cloud that gleams, touched by the day god's tempered beams. Yet struggling in the fiend's embrace, the lady with her sweet pure face, far from her lord, no longer wore the light of joy that shone before. Like some sad lily by the side of waters which the sun has dried, like the pale moon uprising through an autumn cloud of darkest hue. So was a perfect face between the arms of giant Ravan seen. Fair with the charm of braided tress, and forehead's finished loveliness, fair with the ivory teeth that shed white lustre through the lips fine red. Fair as the lotus when the bud is rising from the parent flood, with faultless lip and nose and eye, dear as the moon that floods the sky. With gentle light of perfect mould, she seemed a thing of burnished gold. Though on her cheek the tresses lay of tears her hand had brushed away, but as the moonbeams swiftly fade, ere the great day god shines displayed, So in that form of perfect grace, still trembling in the field's embrace, from her beloved Rama reft, no light of pride or joy was left. The lady with her golden hue over the swart fiend a lustre threw, as when embroidered gods enfold an elephant with gleams of gold. Fair as the lily's bending stem, her arms adorned with many a gem, a lustre to the fiend she lent, gleaming from every ornament, as when the cloud-shot flashes light the shadows of a mountain height. Whenever the breezes outward bore the tinkling of the zone she wore, he seemed a cloud of darkness here, sending forth murmurs as it flew. As on her way the dame was sped, from her sweet neck fair flowers were shed. The swift wind caught the flowery rain, and poured it over the fiend again. The wind-stirred blossoms, sweet to smell, on the dark brows of Ravan fell, like lunar constellations set on Meru for a coronet. From her small foot an anklet fair, with jewels sleeped, and through the air, like a bright circlet of the flame of thunder to the valley came. The metal lady fair to see, as the young leaflet of a tree, clad in the tender hues of spring, flashed glory on the giant king, as when a gold-embroidered zone around an elephant is thrown, while bearing for the lady through the realms of sky the giant flew. She like a gleaming meteor cast a glory round her as she passed. Then from each limb in swift descent dropped many a sparkling ornament. On earth they rested dim and pale, like fallen stars when virtues fail. Around her neck a garland lay, bright as the star-god's silvery ray. It fell and flashed like Ganga sent from heaven above the firmament. The birds of every wing had flocked, the stately trees by bridges rocked. These bowed their wind-swept heads and said, "My lady sweet, be comforted." With faded blooms its brook within, whose waters moved no gleamy fin, stole sadly through the forest dell, mourning the dame it loved so well. From every woodland region near came lions, tigers, birds, and deer, and followed, each with furious look, the way her flying shadow took. For Sita's loss, each lofty hill, whose tears were waterfall and real, lifting on high each arm-like steep, seemed in the general war to weep. When the great sun, the lord of day, saw Ravan tear the dame away, his glorious light began to fail, and all his disk grew cold and pale. If Ravan from the forest flies, with Rama Sita as his prize, justice and truth have vanished hence, honor and right and innocence. Thus rose the cry of wild despair from spirits as they gathered there, in trembling troops in open lawns, wept wild with war the startled fawns. And a strange terror changed the eyes they lifted to the distant skies. On sylvan gods who loved the dell, a sudden fear and trembling fell, as in the deepest woe they viewed the lady by the fiend subdued. Still in loud shrieks was heard afar that voice whose sweetness naught could mar, while eager looks of fear and woe she bent upon the earth below. The lady of each winning wile, with pearly teeth and lovely smile, seized by the lord of Lanka's isle, looked down for friends in vain. She saw no friend to aid her, none, not Rama nor the younger son of Dasarath and undone. She swooned with fear and pain. Canto 53. Sita's Threats. Soon as the metal lady knew that high through the air the giant flew, distressed with grief and sore afraid, her troubled spirit sank dismayed. Then, as anew the water swelled, from those red eyes which sorrow swelled, forth in keen words her passion broke, and to the fierce-eyed fiend she spoke. Canst thou attempt a deed so base, untroubled by the deep disgrace, to steal me from my home and fly, when friend or guardian none was nigh? Thy craven soul that longed to steal, fearing the blows that warriors deal, upon the magic deer relied, to lure my husband from my side. Friend of his sire, the vulture king, lies low on earth with mangled wing, who gave his aged life for me, and died for her he sought to free. Ah, glorious strength indeed is thine, thou meanest of thy giant line, whose courage dared to tell thy name, and conquer in the fight a dame. Does the vile deed that thou hast done cause thee no shame, thou wicked one, a woman from her home to rend, when none was near his aid to lend? Through all the walls, O giant king, the tidings of this deed will ring, this deed in law and honor spied, by one who claims a hero's might. Shame on thy boasted valor, shame! Thy prowess is an empty name. Shame, giant, on this cursed deed, for which thy race is doomed to bleed. Thou fliest swifter than the gale, for what can strength like thine avail? Stay for 1 hour, O Ravan, stay, thou shalt not flee with life away. Soon as the royal chieftain's side falls on the thief who roams by night, thou wilt not, tyrant, leave 1 hour, though backed by all thy legion's power. Never can thy puny strength sustain the tempest of their airy reign. Have ever the trembling birds withstood the wild flames raging in the wood? Hear me, O Ravan, let me go, and save thy soul from coming war. Or if thou wilt not set me free, wrath for this insult done to me, with his brave brother's aid, my lord against thy life will raise his sword. A guilty hope inflames thy breast, his wife from Rama's home to wrest. Ah, fool, the hope thou hast is vain, thy dreams of bliss shall end in pain, if torn from all I love by thee, my godlike lord no more I see. Soon will I die and end my woes, nor leave the captive of my foes. Ah, fool, with blinded eyes to choose the evil and the good refuse, so the sick wretch with stubborn will turns fondly to the cates that kill, and madly draws his lips away from medicine that would check decay. About thy neck, securely wound, the deadly coil of fate is bound, and thou, O Ravan, dost not fear, although the hour of death is near. With that doomed sight thine eyes behold the gleaming of the trees of gold, see dread by tyranny the flood that rolls a stream of foamy blood. See the dark wood by all abhorred, in every leaf a threatening sword. The tangled thickets thou shalt tread, where thorns with iron points are spread, for never can thy days be long, base plotter of this shame and wrong. To Rama of the lofty soul, he dies who drinks the poisoned bowl. The coils of death around thee lie, they hold thee, and thou canst fly. Ah, whither, tyrant, wouldst thou run, the vengeance of my lord to shun? By his unaided arm alone were twice 7,000 fiends overthrown. Yes, in the twinkling of an eye, he forced thy mightiest fiends to die. And the sheltered lord of Lionheart, skilled in the bow and spear and dart, spared thee, O fiend, in battle strife, the robber of his darling wife. These were her words, and more beside, by wrath and bitter hate supplied. Then by her woe and fear overthrown, she wept again and made her moan. As long she wept in grief and dread, scarce conscious of the words she said, the wicked giant onward fled, and bore her through the air. As firm he held the metal dame, still wildly struggling over her frame. With grief and bitter misery came the trembling of despair. Canto 54. Lanka. He bore her on rapid flight, and not a friend appeared in sight. But on a hill that over the wood raised its high top 5 monkeys stood. From her fair neck her scarf she drew, and down the glittering vesture flew. With earring, necklet, chain, and gem, descending in the midst of them, for these, she thought, my path may show, and tell my lord the way I go. Nor did the fiend in wild alarm mark when she drew from neck and arm and foot the gems and gold, and sent to art each gleaming ornament. The monkeys raised their tawny eyes, that closed not in their first surprise, and saw the dark-eyed lady where she shrieked above them in the air. High over their heads the giant passed, holding the weeping lady fast. Over Pampa's flashing flood he sped, and unto Lanka's city fled. He bore away in senseless joy the prize that should his life destroy. Like the rash fool who hugs beneath his robe a snake with venomed teeth. Swift as an arrow from a bow, speeding over lands that lay below, sublime in air his course he took, over wood and rock and lake and brook. He passed at length the sounding sea, where monstrous creatures wander free, seat of Lord Barun's ancient reign, controller of the eternal main. The angry waves were raised and tossed, as Ravan with the lady crossed, and fish and snake in wild unrest showed flashing fin and gleaming crest. Then from the blessed troops who dwell in air celestial voices fell. O ten-necked king, they cried, attend, this guilty deed will bring thine end. Then Ravan, speeding like the storm, bearing his death in human form, the struggling Sita lighted down in royal Lanka's glorious town. A city bright and rich that showed well-ordered street and noble road, arranged with just division fair, with multitudes in court and square. Thus all his journey done, he passed within his royal home at last. There in a queenly bower he placed the black-eyed dame with dainty waist. Thus in her chamber Maya laid the lovely Maya, demon maid. Then Ravan gave command to all the dread she-fiends who filled the hall. This captive lady watch and guard from sight of man and woman bird. But all the fair one asks beside be with unsparing hand supplied. As though it were I that asked, were told no pearls or dress or gems or gold. And she among you that shall dare, of purpose or true want of care, one word to vex her soul to say, throws her unvalued life away. Thus spake the monarch of their race to those she-fiends who thronged the place, and pondering on the course to take, went from the chamber as he spake. He saw 8 giants strong and dread, on flesh of bleeding victims fed, proud in the boon which Brahma gave, and trusting in its power to save. He thus the mighty chiefs addressed, of glorious power and strength possessed. Arm, warriors, with the spear and bow, with all your speed from Lanka go, for Janustan, our own no more, is now defiled with giants' gore. The seat of Khara's royal state is left unto us desolate. In your brave hearts and might confide, and cast ignoble fear aside. Go, in the desert region dwell, where the fierce giants fought and fell. A glorious host that region held, for power and might unparalleled. By Dushan and brave Kara led, all, slain by Rama's arrows, bled. Hence boundless wrath that spans control, reigns paramount within my soul, and naught but Rama's death can sate the fury of my vengeful hate. I will not close my slumbering eyes, till by this hand my foeman dies. And when mine arm has slain the foe, who laid those giant princes low, long will I triumph in the deed, like one enriched in utmost need. Now go, that I this end may gain, in Janastan, O chiefs, remain. Watch Rama there with keenest eye, and all his deeds and movements spy. Go forth, no helping art neglect, be brave and prompt and circumspect, and be your own endeavour still, to aid mine arm this foe to kill. Oft have I seen your warrior might, proved in the forehead of the fight, and sure of strength I know so well, send you in Janastan to dwell. The giant's heart with prompt assent, the pleasant words he said, and each before his master bent, for meet salute his head. Then as he bade without delay, from Lanka's gate they passed, and hurried forward on their way, invisible and fast. End of Cantos 52, 53 and 54.